Hello, my name is KARL-JAMES Langford. I'm an archaeologist, an actor, an author. I'm also a dad, and I've seen many changes over the past few years involving archaeology and how it's undertaken and what we feel is important and what we feel isn't important. The archaeology that I've been involved in has been a journey of well over 30 years, and what's happening at the 5 Mile Lane hits at the core of what isn't good within archaeology. My first contact with what was going on at the 5 Mile Lane was well over a year ago. I went onto the site which has been undertaken as an archaeological excavation project at the Witton Lodge Roman Mancio site. When I first went there, I was welcomed. 3 weeks later, I was told I was not allowed on site. The words used that instructions for me not being allowed on site were instructions given from much higher up, which I really didn't understand at the time. When inquiring what that meant, they said it was a government thing, which sounded quite bizarre. Anyway, as you all know, about 6 weeks ago, I decided to make a video. The video was made on the Friday. On the Saturday it was released on YouTube, and by Sunday we had over 3,000 views. Strangely enough, by the next day it had been reduced to 1,500. Never work out why that happened. Anyway, the point is that people responding to that were very horrified, or other people responding to that video agreed with what was going on, and they were critical of me. I've had death threats since if I go any further with informing the public about what's going on at 5 Mile Lane. This is archaeology, and I'm having death threats about it. And strangely enough, Rubicon and the local council and the Glamorgan Gwent Archaeological Trust went for advice from their solicitors, and I was then intrigued to see a statement being published by the council at 5:15 that day to say that everything was fine, the archaeological work was above board, and they were going to tell the public about it anyway. It seemed a bit strange at the time, but then a few days later I was being told by a couple of county councillors that now I'm blacklisted, whatever that means. Anyway, the point of all this is that what's going on at the 5 Mile Lane, and then going on through to Pendoilen, is something that can only be stopped partially. Can't do anything about the 5 Mile Lane. Clearing a corridor of 400 metres in areas for a 10-metre wide road must seem suspicious, but the archaeologists there are saying that it's necessary to evaluate the archaeology. No, it's not, for a 10-metre wide corridor. And you then get, well, they need to assess a 400-metre wide corridor because they need to put utility trenches across the site. And then you start to think utility trenches are only about a metre wide. It's highly suspicious. It's been highly suspicious to everybody, including Neil McAvoy, the Assembly member. Been working with lots of other people, Archaeology Cymru, lots of activists, and we feel that what needs to happen now with the archaeology at the 5 Mile Lane is we need to keep telling people about what's going on. Secondly, trying to preserve what's going on at the 5 Mile Lane somehow, but that's not going to happen. Back to an earlier point, back to over a year ago, the site of the Roman Mancio, which was excavated in the 1960s, 1970s, that site itself was scheduled as a protected ancient monument alongside other sites along the 5 Mile Lane, all of which are now being descheduled, deprotected, and won't be available for research to future generations because they'll be destroyed. When you schedule an ancient monument, it's meant to be nationally important, and you shouldn't be able to deschedule it. Anyway, that's a question for you all. The other thing is, don't allow archaeologists onto land at all to do any work. It's the beginning of the end. When archaeological work has been undertaken, it basically means that the risk of the archaeology to future development goes away, and I believe that archaeologists are working there, being paid by the public purse. Up to now £1 million has been used to pay for the archaeological work there. If I needed money to do any archaeological work, you can't get hold of it because there's nothing available. Public purse is paying for this, and probably in about 5 years' time large areas of the 5 Mile Lane will be developed for housing. This is a model to look at from the A48 all the way through to the M4 corridor. People need to be warned about what's happening. Don't allow the archaeologists on land for any reason, not even geophysical survey. If you stop the archaeologists on land, going on your land, then it means that you can possibly stop or hinder future development works. I was only given a short time to do this video, and you only wanted a few minutes, but I'm prepared to help further if anyone wants any other advice, and thank you very much for watching this video. This is KARL-JAMES Langford, and any questions to the floor, no doubt, and get them over to me. Thank you.